Okay, I'm always doing best value Nikon stuff. It's certainly been asked more than a few times that I do best value Fuji stuff. And it's like, well, at this point in time, there's always transition periods when new stuff comes out, and the prior model just, nosedives. The XT2, while it has not been announced, everybody's anticipating it. Right now, XT1 prices are really cheap, and this is a reason why, considering used XT10s right now are going for about $450 or $500. Truthfully, spend another $100, get a used XT1 right now, minty shape with the box. Now, if you want to go on the real cheap, and I'm going to use this for my bang-around camera, I'm going to treat this like a red-headed stepchild. Right now, this is the best value Fuji. Still, X Pro 1s are not that cheap. You think they would be now that the X Pro 2 is out, but relatively they are cheap. But I mean, if you want to talk about a camera that is really good, and well, the autofocus is not extremely fast, and there is not an electronic shutter, you only have a mechanical shutter. This is going to be my bang-around camera. This is the Fuji X-E1. And right now you can grab them for typically about $180 in minty shape. Still a 16 megapixel sensor, magnesium alloy chassis, made in Japan, incredibly high quality. One of the wonderful things about this is as a secondary body, this is perfect considering it doesn't cost anything. With the 2.6.0 firmware update, this is still an incredibly excellent Fuji. You do have focus peaking capability with use of Metabones adapters to use non-Fuji lenses on this camera. It works wonderfully. You have 1/180th of a second sync speed. Right now I have a soft shutter button release. You do have the ability to use onboard image stabilization on OIS lenses like this 18-135. How much slower is the autofocus on the XT1 as compared to, say, the XT10 or the X Pro 2 or the XT1, all of which that I own? And realistically, it's not that much slower. Continuous autofocus on this camera, you might as well consider that it does not exist. While it does have continuous autofocus, it is miserably slow. But I did not buy this as a continuous autofocus camera. For $180, this is a fine piece of Japanese-made magnesium alloy precision, incredibly well made. Will not do high-speed sync. You do have, with the Nissan i40 speedlight, you do have high-speed sync capability. It does have a pop-up flash. Not that I would ever use onboard camera flash, but if you wanted to use it in commander mode to wirelessly trigger other speedlights like SB800s, 900s, and 910s that work as an optical slave for remote triggering, that's still a possibility, but at least it does have a flash. I mean, this is a reason why the Nikon D810 and D750 have pop-up little dinky flashes. It's like, well, who the hell would use that thing? You know, in case you happen to forget your speed light, okay, but in commander mode, this is what it's useful for triggering remote speed lights. LCD is fine. Program mode, manual aperture priority. It is a very simple little camera, and as far as learning it, if it's your first Fuji, and you want to stick your toes in the Fuji pond, if you will, $180, you'd be incredibly happy with this. And if you did not want to buy a bunch of Fuji lenses, this is an excellent camera. Like, well, I just want to try out the Fuji camera, and I don't want to buy a bunch of lenses, because this is what always makes people wet their underwear. It's like, well, if I buy the camera, then I'm going to buy all these damn lenses. Well, that's not the case. You buy this camera for $180. You get a Metabones adapter. You can always sell the Metabones adapter for what you paid for it, because nobody sells them on eBay, and once you do list them, you always sell a used one for what a new one is. Then you have access to use of all your Canon lenses or all your Nikon lenses. So the only thing that you're invested in is a $180 camera and a $100 Metabones adapter. So essentially $300, and use your existing lenses. Yes, they are going to be manual focus, but you're going to really enjoy the camera. And the focus peaking, especially on some of your fast lenses, your f1.8s, f1.4s, f1.2s, are lovely. With focus peaking, beautiful. You know, you'll nail the focus every time if you don't have really good manual focus skills. This is an excellent little camera, and for $180, it's the absolute tits as far as value. Right now, actually, you know, even compared to the X Pro 1, which is still going for about, you know, $4.25, $4.50 used. Well, you know, to hell with that. You know, $100 more will get you, well, $150 more will get you a great XT1 used. This is an excellent camera, and like I said, 16 megapixels. Single point autofocus is plenty fast enough. And believe it or not, the video recording on this for general YouTube use and with dual microphones is not bad. It's not really much worse than the XT. It's not really much worse at all than the XT1. And it's an excellent little camera. Very simple. So this is going to be my little beat up, throw it in the car seat beside me camera. Obviously with this lens, it's no small affair with the 18 to 135 on it, but with the 27mm prime, it's a tiny little camera. And I'm not worried about having insurance on it. I'm not worried about dropping it or crashing it or breaking it or anything. And right now, this is definitely a top value for 180 bucks. For that price and what you're getting, it's the tits, and it can't be beat. And if you wanted to dip your toes into the Fuji ecosystem, that's the perfect starting tool. And you don't have to buy a bunch of Fuji lenses. You can just buy one lens and a Metabones adapter, or just buy a Metabones adapter. Thanks for watching, and catch you later. Okay? Bye. Made in Japan, not China. Got it? Good.